I've been able to lead a relatively active and high-functioning life, considering the fact that I have a severe form of cerebral palsy.
The reason you're watching this video is likely because your child or the child of a loved one has been recently diagnosed with cerebral palsy, and you're wondering why, after a healthy pregnancy or a well-managed pregnancy, the discharge from the hospital has left you in a situation with a profoundly disabled child.
It is a roller coaster for parents. It's a very intense time, a variety of emotions. They're dealing with grief, anger, frustration, sadness, the whole range of emotions. And each parent goes through those emotions differently. But this is a normal thing.
So damage to the developing brain effectively stops a lot of that development at an early phase. And damage to the developing brain can occur for a number of reasons. Many of those reasons have to do with lack of oxygen, lack of blood supply, in and around the time the baby is born. To some extent, you need to understand that there is often some damage control that goes on after there has been a traumatic delivery. You may well have heard explanations such as, there has been an unfortunate delivery, it was a difficult birth, there were complications, everybody did the best they could. That sort of language is all risk management language, and it doesn't give you the explanation that you're entitled to. And this risk management exercise oftentimes should be a red flag to those who have a child who has suffered, perhaps suffers from some sort of neonatal seizures or other difficulties, cerebral palsy. It should be red flags warranting an investigation to see what really took place.
I always recommend to parents that if they, for any reason, feel that the circumstances surrounding the birth of their child, that there was some issues there, that they should seek a lawyer like Dawn's advice to see whether something needs to be done in that area, because you need to start preparing for your child's future financially and otherwise to ensure that they have the best life possible.
People are unable on their own to acquire the necessary information from hospitals generally. Hospitals go into something of a lockdown mode, a risk management mode, after there has been a traumatic delivery. I think that it's essential that the litigation be brought forward in these sorts of cases as a patient safety advocate to see to it that changes are made that prevent these sorts of situations from occurring.
Don't be afraid to ask questions. Seek out the knowledge you need and keep asking questions until they get answered. And if you need help with that, seek the advice from the places like the Cerebral Palsy Association of BC, because they will help you and guide you through whatever needs to be done.
Parents do have options other than what's offered to them by hospitals and health professionals following a traumatic event or diagnosis of cerebral palsy. Options that enable them to get answers. The law enables counsel to be involved to investigate thoroughly what took place. The law enables people to access their medical records so that there's a complete explanation as to what took place. The law enables people to ensure that evidence is preserved and not lost. And if it turns out that people have not been doing their jobs properly and that's what's led to a tragedy, then the courts can be engaged to ensure that compensation is paid out so that injured infants and their families can enjoy a better quality of life than they would be able to without an appropriate assessment of damages.
When parents come in, I strongly urge them to start taking action as soon as possible. This I also suggest will ease their fears and their doubts and their discomfort. It'll empower them.
It's incumbent upon parents who have a child with cerebral palsy or some similar sort of developmental disability to investigate thoroughly the circumstances surrounding the cause of the disability and the timing of the disability. And it's essential that this be done through counsel's office, because it's the only place that such an investigation is going to take place. It won't take place through the hospitals, and it won't take place necessarily through the health professionals without independent counsel being involved. If this does sound like your situation, if you do have a child with cerebral palsy, you should very much look into the circumstances, because there could be compensation there that will be life-changing for your child and for yourself.